turned off the sound card so I could go back to streaming. So hopefully this will actually make sound now because I'm using the audio inside of my phone. Alright, well, I guess I can't use my sound card with this. And I knew this was going to become a bad way to stream anyway, so we'll figure out something new for the microphone. Hopefully everybody can hear me now. Because, yeah, I tried to do that with the mic, but like I said, dissecting these presets has been a lot of manual reading, right? So what I found was I read a lot of the manual because that was the way that I started noticing what instruments were inside of Move, right? So I think when you're making a preset, Move has to be looked at as like, you only can do what's under the hood. You can't add instruments that aren't there yet. So I don't know if that's going to be part of them developing more into the platform, or they're gonna keep working on presets. I don't know. And I know, like, when the video cut off, what I was talking about was your ability to make a preset is going to come down to you knowing just the devices that are inside of it, right? So if you're looking at, let's say, any of the preset stuff, you're going to notice that using Move Manager and sending files back and forth becomes a pretty big part of this whole setup. You know, I think the Move Manager browser thing has become something that I didn't think I was going to use so much, and now I'm using it like every day. Like when I turn on Move, the first thing I do is I turn on the Move Manager and I clear off the device, and then for the day I start working on new stuff. Because if it's a sketch pad, then wouldn't you just use it like that? I mean, I'm not sure. So I'm just doing a couple tests now for sound to see if I can hear anything coming out of my system. So let's see. New. Don't save. Alright, so I think I know exactly why everything cut off too. So that was my bad because I was trying to show people presets. But now I'm not hearing something. I have no idea why. Oh yeah, now I do. Alright. So like, yeah, now I've gone back to making stuff, and we'll see if this actually stays on. This is another audio test. Seeing how well I can hear me talking on the camera and with here without having a sound card. And let's see. See now, right? Hopefully everybody can hear everything now. Major shutdown in the audio system, which is normal for me. beginning sample I made. Yeah, and I mean, using the presets in here are nice, but like I said, now I want to start using my own sounds and all my own stuff. So I went from not loading my own sounds now to pretty much anytime I make something, one of the sounds is something I've made now. And I'm curious in making a drum set or how hard that's going to be. I'm sure within the device it's pretty straightforward. So if I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a drum kit, we would basically be looking at, let's take a look. We'll look a little closer and we'll see if I can build one with everybody watching. So if I was going to do a drum kit, right, I would go to the kit and its general purpose. I push the button, I go back, and now I pick a template, right? And I want a drum kit, right? So nothing's loaded. And when I touch here, I can go and look up drums. I can look up user samples, which is what I'd want. And then I put a library of vintage drums. Bass drum, there we go. All right, next pad. And I guess it's not going to stay in the folder I was in, so I was kind of wondering that too. So there we go. So eighth. And then we want a snare drum there because that's what everybody else is using there. So the other thing is, like, if you're going to make a kit, you probably want to put, what. So if you switch the kit, then it's like the same, you know what I mean? So I would say, like, there you go. Hi-hat there, right? Because that's what everybody else is doing. So it's going to take you a minute to make the cheetah. Didn't Aphex Twin do a record with the cheetah? That's why I loaded it in here. They say this is a cheetah. There we go. Alright, so now so I just made a kit, kind of. I mean, none of the other pads have stuff. So I think for me, like, move as far as like designing kits and stuff, you might have an afternoon where you're doing that, where you're actually like designing a drum set and designing a bass and designing a sound. But I like start noticing that like quickness in that isn't, I think, part of the strong suit, let's call it, like it's not the fastest, like, hey, I'm going to build a kit and it's going to be quick. Like, I think it takes a little bit of time. And I would say if you're like going to make drum kits, it might be faster to do it in Ableton with all your samples and then drop it in. I'm not 100% sure. My experience making sounds like strings and stuff like that has been extremely successful. You know what I mean? So like when I make a string or I make like a pad or something, it's like super easy. But if you have 50 gigs of or 40 gigs of samples on here and you're digging through those, it's gonna take you some time, It's not like it's gonna be super fast. So I would say depending on like the, the sound library. I can't do rolls on them yet. I think I need 2 pads to do the roll. And I don't know if you can go copy. So if you were like copy. That's fun. There we go. So copying and pasting drums and repitching them, that was a pretty easy trick, right? So that's just the copy button. And it's funny that like copy works pretty much anywhere on the device. Like when you see the copy and you like touch a pad, or you know, it'll copy stuff. Let's see. And then usually tom-toms are here and here, right? So toms, let's go look for tom. User sample. Uh-oh. That's so funny because that was like the Dr. Dre sample pack I put in here.
You feeling my stack?
There you go. The 50 beep. And then I think like hold decay. There, you know, so I mean, fine. Look, we're almost done with the kit. I might as well put the last 4 sounds, right? I put some weird ones on here too, so I don't. Oh, that's cool. So, you know, and then last 4 pads. Let's see. We're gonna do them fast. Drum. We'll do a bongo. Drum, we'll do conga. Then pad, I'll do let's do another drum. And I'm just picking them from Ableton, eCushion. Yep. And then one more. So drum, cymbal, yeah, we'll go ride. Yep. And then there we go. All right, and I can change that volume. It's a little low. Yeah, and if you hold a pad, that's the volume to that independent pad. But now, again, if I do the full kit, I want to save it. So I push the button, shift, and it says options. Hidden, super hidden. Push the button, save preset. Boom, I just made my own drum kit. So the thing I learned today, so everyone hears this and tries it with your move, you want to basically load in a drum kit, you want to load in all your own samples, you want to push the track button, and then you push this button, the big one, and now you're going to do shift, and it says options, and that's where you can save your own preset. I know, I'm sorry, it cut out. I don't know what happened. I feel so bad. I've been trying to share with everybody what I've been doing in this world, and I hope some of the sharing is just leading to people having ideas more than anything else, right? Because I saw a lot of people online like complaining about features that this thing doesn't have, or complaining like that this is what they need to add next. And I'm like, I think everybody's missing the point of Move. Like, thank you. The whole point is going to be, why do you use this kind of device? And it's quickness, right? So I took it over to a friend's studio last night, and he started like digging into a drum sound instead of like making a beat and moving on to the next thing. And I was like, hey man, do me a favor. Like, don't get lost in like trying to edit a sound right now. Like, the Move is meant to like, hey, I'm on my way to the work and I'm on a bus and I have headphones and I got 10 minutes and I want to hurry up and I want to make a jam. Like, that is the idea behind Move. Like, it's not like, okay, I'm gonna like work on this super deep thing where you only have 8 scenes. Like, no, you're not gonna do some super deep thing. With 8 scenes, you're gonna make a fun little jam that's gonna sound great and that you can play on and stuff and have a good time. And then in like 4 minutes, you're gonna make another jam. Like, I think like anyone trying to think that the involvement in it is a different process, it's not. And you can also copy the same project onto different pads. So if you need to make it, I don't know, 8 of those pads to make one thing, each sketch, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. you could do that too, right? I love it. Yeah, and I think the other side that I learned too that's been really fun is the automation in your hand is like a slewed voltage. So when we're thinking about the Buchla, like I use the 266 all the time, and it's a slewed voltage out. Slewed is like a voltage that wiggles like this. That's why the woggle bug is called that as well. It's a voltage that's not like stepped. It's a voltage that like kind of rounds to places. And I think because there's either capacitance between it or some kind of, you know, something between that to make it not like a straight line, right? And all of a sudden, if you start to think about your hand on a knob, that's where I don't get too tore up if the LFO isn't controllable, because your hand is now the LFO, right? So if I made some kind of fun and I want to evolve it, right? And let's say we mute everything and that's an LFO. I'm turning the knob like an LFO, right? If I hit record now, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm gonna put on the click. There we go. And so now that light is red, right? And what I like, yeah, and it's like you're just gonna turn and go nuts, right? And the other side would be like per pad, right? Or per scene, meaning when I go here, the way I like to evolve my scenes now is like, okay, I did an automation there, right? But now I'm gonna do more automation on the next scene to make it get more. So in this one, I'm recording filter resonance on the next scene, right? And so now, let's unmute. And then, yep, and if I go to my drums on the next scene, it's typically to do my ride cymbal. Right, so now, first scene, not as active with the bass. Now more active, right? Copy. And I usually cut everything and make a break, right? So, and you can tell that because when you look at the pads, you see how there's no lights like up in the top. So those are, you can make a blank clip that has nothing in it, so there's a placeholder. Yeah, and the idea that like, if I didn't want to do that, I could put a pad in there with nothing, right? But I think the other side is this. Once you think you've got something cool, right, you can keep working on it. You can move on to the next thing. The reason there's only 32 sets is because once every couple days, dump everything off of there, right? You know, don't get like hung up if something's on there for too long, because once I put it in there too, the next thing that happens is the sketch gets better inside of Ableton because I can start track after track after track after track, right? So the thought process there too is once I brought stuff into here, it made a lot more sense, right? Like I'm gonna open up another set, and this one, this is one of the better ones that I had made, right? And I was so happy with myself because it had like a cool sound, right? Then it gets even cooler, right? Yeah, I really love that synth, right? So the idea that now that this project is out of Move and onto your computer is where you can just go nuts, you know? And any idea that you were like, oh, I have a restriction, guess what? Doors are open now, and that's when I can get the modular involved. That's when I can get the Digitakt involved, or the Digitone. To me, that's become like the magic in moving the sets over too, is like, make sure that you're having a good time moving sets over. The other observation I want to make too in my whole noticing what's going on with this device. you're not supposed to load sounds into it. Like you are, but loading sounds into it is defeating the main purpose of what Move is about, right? I'm going to go one more step further and then I'm going to end my stream because I've been on for a minute, right? There's something in your Move right here. It's a microphone, okay? And you are literally supposed to take the world around you and create what you're going to do with this with the world around you, all right? So loading sounds in that are sterile and clean and perfect, sure, I'm having a good time. Yeah, it's a good time. But remember, if you use nothing but found sounds inside of your Move, and all stuff you find laying around the house and change and all that kind of stuff, you know, you will definitely have a lot more success. So don't be afraid. Use the microphone inside. Take tons of samples, right? If people want to take my libraries, you can reach out and email me. I will share any of the stuff that I've been doing. But I got to get ready to do some other work. And I appreciate everybody hanging out, talking, enjoying the stream. But enjoy the rest of the day, everyone, all right?